Gio,
BT and Sal,
Kevin and Tiki.
Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on The Fan.
on the fan.
On the fan.
on the fan.
It's WFAN Daily, hosted by Pete Hoffman.
Welcome to another episode of WFAN Daily with your host, Pete Hoffman. You can always follow me at WFAN. And the Subway Series is over. Part 2 is done. The only chance of a Part 3 taking place is if both teams find themselves in the World Series. And right now, that doesn't seem likely, as both teams had, even though the Mets came out on top, winning 2-1 in the series, it seems like both teams are still kind of trying to find themselves coming out of slumps. The Yankees were losing 6 in a row up until Sunday when they finally were able to kind of scrape out a win versus the Mets, 6-4 on Sunday, with Max Fried not pitching his best game. Let's be fair. The Mets were able to do a little damage and kind of fight out a game where they almost found ways to win, and find a way to take a lead. Unfortunately, they were fighting not only themselves, their defensive blunders, their base running blunders, and they were also fighting the umpires. Now, both teams are fighting. We're getting screwed with the umpires. Carlos Mendoza at the end of the game gets kicked out in the ninth inning when Luis Torrens, gets rung up on 2 pitches that were completely out of the strike zone. And if it wasn't Carlos Mendoza getting tossed, it almost felt like Aaron Boone was going to get tossed, because whoever Bacon, I think his last name was, as a home plate umpire, was crap. Complete and utter crap. And it was like that for some really big at-bats. It wasn't just the Luis Torrens. It was Aaron Judge's at-bats too. And you know what? Not for nothing, I know that they want to talk. They're talking about bringing this, the automatic ball strike, whatever, the ABS, whatever they're calling it. I don't want it. But then you got a game where the umpire is so bad and so egregious and such utter nonsense in such big situations. It's like you have no choice but say, you know what, screw it. Give me that automatic ball strikes zone. I'll take it. I don't care. We're talking right now on a regular basis about how catchers are trying to change the strike zone with how they're receiving the pitch. They're learning how to frame pitches differently. The way that catchers are setting up, we're talking about they're taking away their defense to be able to frame the ball better rather than block it if it's in the dirt. And that's what catchers are learning right now. And even at a younger age, they're learning how to do that. And yet it's all because of umpires either being tricked or just not being as locked in late in game. Now, listen, we're all human, so I get it. There should be a replay system, but I don't want it to be every pitch. I don't want it to be every pitch. If it's every pitch, you're dumbing down the game that much. Everyone's got their cookie cutter zone. Now you know where the frame is. Now, listen, these guys are professionals. They know where they want to hit the ball. Now they know if it's a ball, they don't have to swing at all. The beauty of having an umpire that strike zone changes, or not changes during the game, but he creates his own strike zone, is that you understand where he is, and you understand as a pitcher, okay, this is my zone, this is what I got to do. So it's kind of like a mix and match thing. It's like 6 dozen on one, half dozen the other. It's not perfect. I like the human element, but when a pitch is completely outside the zone and you call that a strike on guys that aren't even offering at it, that to me is like, what are we doing here? So it kind of almost contradicts myself, because I like the human element so much, but when it's egregious, it turns you off. But that being said, that wasn't why the Mets lost the game. That wasn't the reason why the Yankees won the game. Yankees won the game because, Carlos Mendoza made a really dumb move and pitched to Aaron Judge. That's it. It's 3-0. Aaron Judge is up. There's a man on third base. Paul Goldschmidt's on third base. It's easy. Just walk him. Just walking Aaron Judge at that point in time is not going to change anything at all. If you walk Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton comes up and hits a 3-run bomb, so be it. But at that point in time, Aaron Judge is not going to get on the base path and scare you silly. He's not, even if he steals second base, what's the big deal? You're down 3-0 at the point in time. But you know that Aaron Judge at any point in time can change the game. And he's been that good. He has been unbelievable all season long. Right now, he's sitting at 33 home runs. He's got 74 RBI, I believe. It's tied with Cal Raleigh. Finally tying Cal Raleigh. Jeez, that guy can't stop hitting. Cal's got 35 home runs, and he's got 74 RBIs. But again, the Triple Crown leader, he's right there. 33 home runs, 74 RBIs, and he's batting 360 still. He doesn't hit the ball often enough because they're walking him now quite often. But when he does hit, the ball goes bye-bye. And why put yourself in that situation? Why would Carlos Mendoza allow himself to pitch? And now there's twofold here, okay? Carlos Mendoza is a good manager. I know a lot of people have been questioning it lately. Oh, Carlos Mendoza, things are over his head now. I could see he's got some holes in his games. Listen, managers are going to be the first people to get criticized whenever something goes wrong, so I get that. But on the other hand, too, Carlos Mendoza is a really good head coach. He gets the players. He fights for his players like Aaron Boone does, which you got to like to see that too. I mean, I want to see him defend his players at all times. But also, he's like a good dude. Like you could see he has, whether it's a connection with Aaron Judge or not, he's not going to just take the bat out of his hand because he wants to win the game. He's that type of guy where it's like, hey, we've won 2 out of 2 games so far this series. It's the what was it, the 5th inning when Judge hit his home run? It's like it's 3-0 right now. Even if he does hit a home run, it's not going to totally kill the game. So why not give it a shot? Let's attack and not just sit there and give Judge a free pass. Because not for nothing, they've actually had success. If you go back to the original series in Yankee Stadium, I think they struck out Aaron Judge about 4 or 5 times that 3-game series. They found a way to get to him. They found that the high and inside strike, he couldn't hit it. And that's what was so upsetting too, because when Brazaban's in there and throwing to Giancarlo Stanton later in the game, and it's just like, why are you not throwing high inside? Like, where these guys have their problems, and they just don't do it. They didn't have the best approach today to face this Yankee lineup. And that was a little frustrating. Whether they couldn't locate, whether they forgot the game plan. Maybe they were like, hey, we did this last time, we can't do it again. That's on the pitching staff for not having a better mindset of what actually worked against the Yankees when they've had success. Now, listen, it's not always successful, which is why Aaron Judge sent one to the seats. But that being said, you just can't. Regardless, you just can't pitch to Carlos Mendoza when it's 3-0. When there's 2 bases you can give him, and Stanton, who's only hit 1 home run at this point in time since really coming up, he's not really a threat, and he's more of a threat to hit into a double play or strike out than do anything as far as like power wise or hit a home run wise. He's still kind of getting in the groove coming back, so it's frustrating because the Mets could have swept. If you're a Mets fan, it's frustrating because you could have swept. Let's be serious. You were fighting back against Max Fried. There was a lot of plays, a lot of base runners. Ronnie Mauricio, once he got subbed in, got a couple hits. Brett Beatty with a hit. There was some base running blunders. Jeff McNeil not going to third base on a Starling Marte, which could have been a double. To be fair, instead it's a single because Jeff McNeil just wasn't running the bases properly and only takes, he's at second and he should have scored. Instead, he's sitting at third base. So there was a lot of issues there. And that was kind of the whole weekend. Even though the Mets won 2 of 3, there were so many base running blunders. We talked about that on Friday. Brett Beatty had his blunder where he went back to first base trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do on a double play that Mauricio hit into. And then Mauricio himself, after on second base, when he ran past second base because he thought the ball got past DJ LeMahieu, which, not for nothing, Jazz Chisholm did he caused DJ to get off the bag and not be able to get Mauricio out at second base but Mauricio thought the ball was behind him, and he just takes off and he gets tagged out. It was just dumb. And there was a bunch of plays like that. Mauricio today gets an easy double play. Now, again, was it bad placement? The ball gets a line drive to Paul Goldschmidt, basically picks it up, tag, and then touches first base. Okay, yeah, it's bad luck, but on the other hand, too, like maybe there's a different way that they do have speed on the base path. Like that's the thing I don't get about the Mets is they do have more speed than you want to admit. Like Mauricio has some speed. McNeil used to be a guy who had a little bit of speed. Nimmo, we know, doesn't run, but quote unquote has speed. Lindor, even though with the broken toe, he did steal a base this weekend. I think even Soto stole a base. So they have some sneaky speed. And Marte, unfortunately, and that's something that we haven't talked about at all. We just did a Rico Brogna not too long ago, and Starling Marte had a great weekend, 5 for 8. Now, a lot of it was just all singles, but he went 5 for 8. He seemed like he was getting into a groove. And that last at bat he was up, it looked like he hurt his knee. And that's something that looks like could be a significant thing because Starling Marte is fragile. That's the one thing we know about him. So that's the reason why he doesn't really play the field anymore, because you just want to use him for the things he's better at. And right now, versus lefties, he's better at batting. He's the best DH they have. And if he's out, is it going to be a major problem? Maybe not, because now you have Mark Vientos that you don't have to force at third base. You have Brett Baty you could play at third base, and you have Mark Vientos be the DH when you're facing lefties. I mean, that could be just that easy. Mauricio has looked much better against righties. Again, Mauricio, I think he went 4 for 8 this weekend. And it just seemed like it was a much better weekend for some of these guys on the infield that are begging for spots. So, listen, overall, the fireworks that were there were a ton of home runs hit. The Mets clearly were the better of the two teams this weekend. Does that mean that they're going to be better for the rest of the season? They both showed their flaws. The pitching staffs are not strong right now. The batting is inconsistent. Sometimes sometimes they can go off against bad pitching. Other times they just have their bad moments. Again, it's a lot of solo home runs attached to it as well. You need listen, Brandon Nimmo opened up the game in game 2 with the grand slam home run because Carlos Rodon was just off his game. And that was like the hit. That was it. Pete Alonso hit really bad pitching this weekend. On Saturday, he hit 2 home runs, 5 RBI. So between the two, you have 3 hits with 9 RBIs out of the 12 RBI scored or runs scored on Saturday. So it's, again, the numbers aren't like, oh, people were just killing the ball and crushing this hitting. No, it was legitimately 3 hits that scored 9 runs on Saturday for the Mets. So they're not hitting as well as they should. Teams are still flustering, and the bullpens are crap. Luke Weaver comes in on Friday versus Jeff McNeil, and it's like, what are we doing here? He's not high leverage at the moment. He's been really bad, Luke Weaver. Devin Williams looked better on Sunday, but also a little bit of help from the umpire. It just is what it is. And then Edwin Diaz, not saying you wasted him on Saturday, but he's the one bullpen arm that you've recognized has been really good. Reed Garrett had a good game on Friday, has recovered. He was very emotional about it. We talked about that a little bit on the Rico Brogna. But besides that, there's so many holes on both of these teams right now, and they both need the same thing. They both need bullpen help. They could both use a better bat somewhere else. Like you talk about, the one key to the Mets is the fact that Lindor, Alonso, and Soto haven't all hit at the same time. Those are the 3 boppers, okay? You got 2 of them now that are 20-plus home runs. I think Nimmo is a home run away from that. Lindor's a few home runs away from that. So you're talking about 4 guys that are close to that are, if not at 20, are close to 20-plus home run hitters right now. So the power is there, but they're not doing it at the same time. The offense needs to be better because it needs to be more consistent. The Yankees, Jason Dominguez had some moments on Friday, but then on the other hand, too, it's like Friday was good, but where is that the rest of the time? Where is his power, or where is his specialty skills? Like his defense is crap in left field, but like where is this on the consistency of him with the power hitting? And he's got 8 home runs on the season. If that's not great, you have Judge and everybody else. You talk about a team that needs a bat, it's the Yankees, and they need defensive help as well. Because we've talked about it all season long, and both teams do it. Mets and Yankees, they're like looking in the mirror. Both teams do it. They both are playing guys out of position. They just love to do that. Now, the Yankees more than the Mets, because the Mets are more like, hey, we'll use Jeff McNeil at second base, but he's your best second baseman on the team. That's debatable. But if you're not using him at second base, where is he? Is he center field? Is he left field? He shouldn't really be playing there. There he's out of the position. But second base is his best spot. Nimmo's best spot right now is left field, and Taylor's right now is the best center fielder on the team. You don't really have a third base. The Yankees, they're using LeMahieu, who is a waste of space at second base. Chisholm at third, which is everybody knows he's a second baseman. Volpe, who is just not at that level yet. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Everyone's telling me that Anthony Volpe sucks. Maybe it's time to cut ties with him. He's 24 years old. So first of all, I don't care that he's struggled for 3 seasons. Maybe he shouldn't have been called up. Maybe he shouldn't have been brought up. That is the biggest issue here, is not everybody should be called up at 21, 22 years old. Special players get called up at 21, 22 years old. Anthony Volpe, unfortunately, is not special, but that doesn't mean he can't be a good ball player. He's 24 years old right now. His defense is crap. His offense is going, trending backwards again. I don't care how many doubles he has. He's just not this significant player that everyone thought he was going to be at 22 years old. There's still plenty of time. In the next 3 years, I could see Anthony Volpe turning into a stud eventually, just learning a little bit more and kind of fine-tuning some things instead of just being thrown in the fire, and you got to figure it out playing shortstop in the biggest, baseball market of all time. So it's almost like the Yankees are doing it to themselves, torturing this young kid. And hey, he's a baseball player. He's got to toughen up. He's got to take it. But on the other hand, too, how about have a different solution if he can't handle it? And the solution is not trade him, just not have him up here. That really was the main solution they should have figured out. But again, getting a Gold Glove the first year, hitting 20 home runs the first year of his son sounds very reminiscent of a Gleyber Torres when he hit 38 home runs the first year and then never was able to recover there. And then all of a sudden he goes away. He's now in Detroit. I think he's 27 years old. Remember, Gleyber Torres, a guy that no one could stand here. I'm not going to talk about his defensive skills, but offense, doesn't run things out. It's lazy, this and that. He's not a good hitter. All-star. He's an all-star. So anybody that sits there and says, Gleyber Torres couldn't be developed, he's fine. He was never an issue. It was more of what we made out of him. We made a big deal out of certain things. And that was fans. That was media. That was everybody. Was killing Gleyber Torres because we wanted him to be more than what he was. Gleyber Torres is an all-star and a story. And he's having a great season. And it's not saying it's easier in Detroit, but the pressure is not on here, especially when it's Aaron Judge and question mark of who the next guy is in line. There's nobody else. Give me that other guy batting offensively who is behind Aaron Judge at this point in time. There is none. With the Mets, I could tell you if it's Soto 1, if it's Lindor 2, Pete Alonso 3, those 3 guys are interchangeable. They could all be the top 3 of that team at any time. With the Yankees, it's Aaron Judge, and that's it. There's nobody else. Jazz Chisholm was hot in June, I won't lie. But still, he wasn't at that level of Aaron Judge. Paul Goldschmidt, everyone loved him when he came over here, and rightfully so. He's a former MVP. They thought he had a really good second half of the season. They thought that he was somebody that was really going to just find himself, take over for Anthony Rizzo, take over that first base spot, and actually be productive because they haven't been productive in so long. But he's been terrible. I know that he got a couple hits on Sunday, but you're talking about Paul Goldschmidt, who is, I think, going into yesterday, was 15 of his last 85. He's slowly fading. And that's what happened last year was he faded. He was done early and found himself a little bit that second half. Well, now it's reverse. And that's a problem when you don't have anybody else to rely upon. You don't. The Yankees lineup needs something else significant to pair up with Aaron Judge. And if anybody sits there and says that they don't miss Juan Soto, you're lying to yourself. I saw it all weekend long. The amount of boos that were at Citi Field, because there were Yankee fans there. There were a ton of Yankee fans there. When he got up the plate, there were a ton of people booing him. There was all Yankee fans that were very disruptive and very unhappy that Juan Soto was, excuse me, he's with the Mets. We saw that back in Yankee Stadium back in May. So it's not like this is just me making it up. Your Yankee fans are still hurt by that. But that being said, it's not even being hurt anymore. It's the fact that you're missing a significant bat in the lineup. End of story. You need somebody else to counter what Judge does and when he doesn't do something. And there's nobody in that Yankees lineup that can replace what Juan Soto did last year. There's nobody on this team. You can combine everybody together. You can put Bellinger, you can put Goldschmidt together and try to say, okay, this is Juan Soto, but it's not. It never will be. And that's unfortunate. And that's why people are starting to criticize and say, you're wasting Aaron Judge. And you kind of are. But overall, both teams, a week to go before All-Star break. It's not as bad as it was when both teams were losing. I mean, a 6-game losing streak, thankfully, stopped by the Yankees, because if they got swept by the Mets, I would have been in a different mood. Let's put it this way. If the Yankees were swept by the Mets, losing 7 in a row, going to play now Seattle, who just shut out the Pirates. By the way, the Pirates are what they are. We know that they don't hit much. But regardless, Seattle Mariners beat them 3 games, back-to-back-to-back shutouts. What do you think the Mariners are going to do to the Yankees? Do you think they're going to go up and all of a sudden give up a 12 spot? It's not happening. The Mariners pitching has always been good. That's going to be a lot to handle. And then they're going to play the Cubs. So it's Seattle, then the Cubs, who were one of the best teams in the National League, who just put a hurting on the Cardinals. I think the final was 11-0 on Sunday. So you're talking about a Seattle Mariners team that pitches unbelievably, and then a Cubs team that is going to bash the hell out of that bullpen. And potentially you're starting pitching depending on who it is. I don't know if it's going to be, it's a facing Stroman. I'm not sure about, they're probably going to face Rodon in the Cubs series. And it's going to be like, if Rodon can't get on his schedule, I mean, that's going to be another rough outing for the Yankees. And Fried too. Fried's going to be a Cy Young contender this year, but he's had a couple moments where he's had some blips. And it's normal. You're a human being. So I get it. You can't be perfect every game. But some of the biggest games of the season, he just hasn't been able to come through. And they did get the win, but he did not pitch ace-like stuff on Sunday versus the Mets. All right. I'll be back tomorrow or Monday, depending on when you're listening to this, with BT and Sal, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Monday to Friday. Don't forget Boomer and Gio come at you at 6 a.m. You got Evan and Tiki, 2 p.m., and then obviously Keith McPherson and Chris McMonagle later on as well. If you miss any of that, go to the Odyssey app, download it. You can either go live, hit the rewind function if you missed something from a little bit earlier, or you can go to the podcast section and go and listen to anything from any day. And then you can go find the podcast like WFAN Daily or Rico Bronya or Unkillable. It's all there on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. Just like, subscribe, all that other stuff. Even iHeartRadio. We're now on iHeartRadio. So you can find it anywhere, basically. Wherever you want, you can find WFAN and WFAN Daily. It's amazing. God bless America. And God bless 50 Cent. I forgot. It was WFAN's birthday. Well, not WFAN's. It was America's birthday on July 4th. Sunday, July 6th, 50 Cent turned 50. How can we not forget that? That is a celebration. It just feels like you have to celebrate. And just amazing artist, continue to do amazing work. Appreciate you, 50 Cent. Thank you. Happy birthday. Amen. All right, listen, on that note, follow me at Hoff WFAN. Like, subscribe, like I said, and I will see you guys tomorrow for more of WFAN Daily. See ya.